So Jesus talked in parables, and one of the parables that he said was, a sower went out to sow, and some seeds fell on the path, and the birds ate it up. Then some fell on the rocks, and there wasn't much soil, so the sun rose, and they withered because they didn't have deep roots. Some fell on the thorn, grew up, and they smothered the seeds. Some fell on the good soil, and they bore fruit. So this can be seen as a metaphor depending on your life experiences, where you start out, and your perspective on it determines whether you arise and grow or stay in disillusion. Or it could be that if you're not born with a good upbringing or access to wisdom and knowledge of the laws of creation from the start, then you will suffer unless you know the ways. So this parable can be a lot of different meanings, and I actually want to go through ChatGPT and get her opinion on what she thinks these parables mean, because so that was what I interpreted at first. I was like, okay, let me see what I think this parable means. So this one, they actually give you the breakdown on what it means, but the other parables that they go into after, they don't break it down. So I want to go to ChatGPT. I want to do my opinion first, and then go to ChatGPT and get her opinion on what she thinks it is. So for this one, it says, so listen now to the hidden meaning of this parable of a sower. If someone hears the word of the truth and the Spirit and the laws and does not understand it, then the evil comes and snatches away what is sown in their mind. That is who is sown on the pathway. For whom it is sown on the rocks, that is who hears the word and promptly accepts it with joy. But this person has no roots within. So that which is heard cannot take hold and grow. Rather, this one is fickle and becomes annoyed when misery and persecution arises because of the truth. But for whom it is sown among the thorns, that is the one who hears the word, but the woes of the world and the deception of material riches smothers the truth and the knowledge. Thus this one brings forth no fruit. But for whom it is sown on good ground, this is the one who accepts the word and seeks and finds the truth, so as to be able to live accordingly to the laws of truth. Thus the fruit is allowed to grow and ripen, bringing in a rich harvest. One person bears 100-fold, another 60-fold, and another 30-fold. These are the meanings of the parables, whose secrets must be deciphered by the people in order that they learn to think and develop insights. Think for yourself. Nevertheless, the path to wisdom and finding the truth is long as is compliance with the laws of creation, even though these are so obvious. So let's just go back and break that down. So the ones that fell on the pathway and the birds ate it up, those are the ones that heard the truth about creation, but they didn't understand it, so evil came and snatched them up. Evil came and put bad thoughts in their mind because it hadn't settled in their mind. They didn't understand it, so they couldn't apply it to their lives or accept the values or implement the values into their own lives. So the ones who the seeds fell onto the rocks and then the sun came up and withered it away, it's because they heard the word of the truth about creation, and they felt happy about it, but they had no roots. They had no values instilled in them. They had no parents basically that instilled values into them for them to really take it and say, okay, this is who I'm going to be. So if you have no roots and values on what it means to be a good person, when you hear the laws of creation, it's not gonna hold inside of you, and it's not gonna grow. You're gonna be fickle and go back to doing things that are not just, that are not in line with the laws of creation, because you haven't developed those roots to know what it means to be a good person from young. So when challenges or hardships come, you're gonna look for the easy path out, and you're going to get annoyed with creation, being not being patient, being why aren't things getting better now? I'm still suffering. No, then I'm going to go steal or do something that gets me in a better position. Lie, cheat, rob, whatever you have to do in order to put yourself in a better position so you're not struggling. Whereas if you understood that creation makes all things possible, you wouldn't do those things. So the seeds that fell on the thorns, and then when the thorns grew and the seed grew, the plant grew, it wrapped around and it basically suffocated. Those are the ones who heard the truth, but the miseries of the world and the deception of material riches, doing anything for material riches, that's more important than following creational laws. So basically, materialistic gains were more important than knowledge and truth, and going down that path, so you bear no fruit and just living in the 3D world and chasing the money and trying to get it any way possible, kind of like the ones who fell on the rocks. But the one who fell on good ground, they're the ones who accept the word and seeks and finds the truth, so they are able to live according to the laws of truth. Thus, the fruit is allowed to grow and ripen, bringing a rich harvest. So one person who follows the path of creation is able to bring in harvest amongst his community, amongst his family, amongst abundance amongst himself as well, because he's choosing to live by the laws of creation. People were raised with a good upbringing by parents or mentors or people around them who showed them what it meant to be a good person through their actions. And also, as they grew older, and even as a kid, they trusted their intuition on what it means to be a good person. So it's like these people needed to have a good upbringing, and then once the truth was presented to them, they were able to follow it because they already had the roots. They already knew what it meant to be a good person. They just needed more knowledge on what to do.